Today we're going to have a go at making some salt dough. So the things we need are a bowl,
cup, plain white flour and table salt.
Now the first job is to get 2 cups of plain flour into the bowl. So tip the first one in. That's it. And then we need to start spooning out another cupful. Ooh. Okay, so we'll tip that one in then.
Yep.
So we've got 2 cups of flour. And the next ingredient is this time 1 cup of salt. So if you pour this one in.
1 cup.
Yeah. Okay, so tip the flour in. That's a big cupful of flour, of salt, isn't it?
Yeah,
you wouldn't want to taste that. It would taste horrible. Now what we're doing is pouring in some water, just slowly, mixing it all together.
It's like cement.
It's a bit like cement, isn't it? Well, we're only doing a little bit at the moment. I might put just a little bit more. Try that. Mix that together. You don't want it too wet. You want it to just mix together into a dough.
Can I help?
Of course you can. Can you go get a spoon and get some more mixing done, please? Now it's started to stick together. We are mixing it with our hands. Have you tried it? It's going to taste really revolting because that's got salt in it. Oh! The best thing to do is just keep adding water very slowly until it mixes into a nice dough and it's not too sticky. If you do overdo the water, just add a bit more flour into it and until it gets to that nice dough consistency. So now I've taken it out of the bowl and just put it onto the table. Don't worry, about mopping it up, that's fine.
It looks like Play-Doh.
It does look a bit like Play-Doh. It does. It's very similar to Play-Doh. And we're kneading it so that it makes it nice and smooth. You want to have a go? Just like Play-Doh.
You need Play-Doh.
Yes. So at this point we have some lovely smooth salt Play-Doh, which you can play with just like Play-Doh. Obviously the salt content is really high, so for babies it's not the best. But you can roll this out and you can maybe get them to push their hands into it, make a shape and then bake it. So it's something that could be made into a hand impressed decoration for them. You can also put this into a plastic bag and just let babies squeeze it without danger of putting the salt dough in their mouths. But for us, we're going to roll it or make it into some shapes. What are we going to make with this salt dough?
Stonehenge!
Oh yeah, we're going to make Stonehenge. So we'll show you the results very shortly. So we've cut our pieces into rectangles and squares because we're making Stonehenge. Interesting fact, can you tell us?
Well, Stonehenge was built in
5,000 years ago.
5,000 years ago.
Right.
So they used rafts. They made rafts and put loads of heavy bricks on it. Put a heavy brick on it and sailed it away.
Wow. To get it to the place where they were going to build the henge.
Yes.
Incredible, isn't it?
Yeah,
Amazing
incredible.
to think how they did it. So this one, if you want to make a hand impression with a baby, hand or foot I suppose you could use, roll out a piece. Don't make it too thin because you want to press a hand into it. Now my son's got a bigger hand obviously, so a baby's hand will be smaller and you can press your own hand in. With a baby you do need to add a little bit of pressure, having done this before. So let's have a look and see if we've got there's your hand. Obviously a smaller baby's hand would fit on that circle better, wouldn't it? But you can see yours there. Okay. So we've now put all of our pieces onto a baking tray and I've put a piece of baking paper just underneath. We're going to put them into the oven at a very, very low setting because you're drying them out rather than baking them. So about 120, 140 degrees centigrade. And we're going to leave them there for about 3 hours to really, really dry out, to go solid. So these have just come out of the oven. About 5 minutes ago, they've cooled down. They are definitely solid, aren't they? They've gone nice and hard. There is a little bit of cracking on some of them, so maybe I could have turned the oven down a little bit lower. I think if the oven's a little bit too hot, then they have a tendency to crack. But most of them are all right. And certainly for our project making Stonehenge, these are absolutely fine and ready for decorating. So with these ones, I'm painting a layer of white acrylic paint over the top as a base, and it kind of seals them and makes them a really nice sort of blank white canvas ready for painting. And with smaller babies or smaller children, you could get them doing some finger painting over the top with water-based paints, or beginning to use brushes as well and adding colours. So this is the base first of all. What are you doing here?
I'm drawing Doggy Happy My Teddy.
Oh, brilliant. And what are you doing over here?
Stonehenge.
Stonehenge. So how are you painting them? What colours are you going to use?
Ready mixed paint.
Yeah, so we're using ready mixed water-based paint, and we're painting over the top of it, and you're doing the black, and then you're going to put bits of white and grey over the top to make them look like Stonehenge. Yeah. These are starting to look really rocky now, aren't they?
Yep, rocky.
Finally, if you want to try something a little bit more adventurous, try these jewellery pieces made out of salt dough. So make sure when you're making like this pendant one, make a hole in the salt dough shape before you bake it, and then you can thread bits of ribbon and beads through it. And I've decorated these with felt tip pens. So these are permanent felt tip pen markers, which means you can get much more intricate designs and colours. I haven't varnished these yet, but you could spray these with an acrylic varnish afterwards to make them really, really hard wearing.